Live from Austin, Texas, where there's too many Imagineers and not enough Actioneers. It's Retro Pals with Danny and Alex. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Danny.
What do you think of my new campaign slogan?
I think it's going to really take off, especially with people who actually can tell the difference between Imagineer and Imagineering, which isn't me, which is not me. I made the mistake 3 times. I made the mistake before the show just talking to Danny. I'm like, can't wait for Imagineering, and Danny was like, no.
I really set a pit trap for myself this week with this week's stream theme because nobody could keep it straight. Everybody's expecting Imagineering and they're getting Imagineer and they're like, what the fuck is Imagineer? And I don't have a good answer for that, but we're doing it anyway. Hi everybody, it's Retro Pals. We're doing a Sega Saturn stream and we got quite a collection of games tonight. I think these really represent the Sega Saturn in terms of its library. Whole bunch of weird stuff, whole bunch of games I've never heard of before, so this will be a surprise for everybody.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Real quick, I want to thank some folks. Thank you, Nocturne Dustclaw, for the 29-month resub. I couldn't possibly miss this. Neither could I. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you for the sub. Thank you, Kimbertian, for the 250 bits. I can have Cookie bless this chat using channel points, so have some bits instead. Thank you.
Oh, good. That's a good substitute. Thank you.
And thank you to Proxy Glitchcat for the 53-month resub. Holy shit, thank you.
53?
Can't believe we're here for Disney-sponsored fisting. Oh,
yep, that's exactly what it is. Thank you.
That's great. That's great. Stream going off to a
That's
fantastic
100%
start.
what it is. I'm just going to say yes and to everybody. Yep, this is Disney. This is Imagineering's Disney explosion. Hello, everybody. All right. So, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with tonight's stream? I figured Imagineer... I couldn't really think of an angle for this one. So it's a good thing everybody voted for it.
Yeah.
That's how that turned out. This week's patron theme was Imagine Gamers. Imagine, if you will, gamers. We pit Imagineer against Imagineering. One was a Kusoge publisher from Tokyo. The other's a Kusoge developer from Glen Rock, New Jersey.
New Jersey themselves.
Sorry, New Jersey, you didn't win this one. Imagineer barely took the crown. It was like 50-50 head-to-head for the entire weekend. It was a real battle, I tell you what.
A real nail biter.
So Imagineer. What is there to say about Imagineer? Why don't you bring up the logo so I can think about it?
All right.
When Imagineer won the poll, I didn't really know what to do. I thought, okay, full catalog showcase. They did like 130 fucking games. I don't think that's going to happen over a 2-hour stream.
Yeah, no.
I could have thought, well, maybe we cover the highs and lows of their career, the real major points from Famicom Disk System to PlayStation 2. I thought, maybe if I piece it together with a really good ending, maybe a few surprise twists, then that'll be worth watching. Couldn't think of a good ending, couldn't think of any surprise twists. The ending of Imagineer is they stopped in 2002 and offloaded all their publishing duties to their subsidiary Rocket Company, and they mostly made just budget Wii games from that point on.
Oh.
Real exciting, huh? So then I thought, what do I think of when I think Imagineer? What I think is I see this logo whenever I'm browsing Sega Saturn games, and whenever I see it, I'm like, oh, fuck. That's happened so many times here on this Retro Pal stream. We play random Sega Saturn games. Once you see that Imagineer logo, you know shit's about to go off the rails. So I knew what I had to do. We're going to play every single Sega Saturn game published by Imagineer from 1996 through 98 or so. There's like 20 of them. Let's get started.
All right, let's go.
Game number 1. They started off on the Sega Saturn June 16th, 1995 with Seifuku Densetsu, Pretty Fighter X.
Pretty Fighter X?
Can you hand me the 6-button controller?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, a couple of these we played before, but might as well get the whole catalog here in one showcase. Really see just the madness of Imagineer when you put all their games back to back. Seifuku Densetsu means Legend of the Sailor Suit. Pretty Fighter X.
Okay.
Here we are. There's
All
no
right.
turning back now. We're going to play nothing but Imagineer games for the next 2 hours.
Is this just a sexy lady game?
No,
Okay.
though I did notice that a good percentage of the games we're going to cover today,
Did you see that?
they are yellow label games, so, don't let your kids watch this. This is a mature rated stream anyway, so who cares?
I
don't think there's any Twitch tags for Imagineer. They don't really, doesn't really adequately prepare you for what you're about to see in these games.
One of those ladies looks like she's like in a work uniform.
Well, yeah.
That's not fair. I don't want to have to fight in my work uniform.
Some of us girls don't have time to change before the big fight.
Thank you, Simon. 100 bits. Imagine ear. Could it be me?
Imagine.
Well, some of these. That one lady has big ears. Is that ears or cat ears, or is that like a hair tie?
I like her. Let's go.
Okay.
Probably cat ears, if I were to guess. I think there was a Super Famicom Pretty Fighter game, and this is like an expansion or sequel.
All right, we got animation.
And there's an intro.
Excuse?
Dracula? Oh, he stomped their sandcastle.
Danny!
This is a great start. Don't fuck with me, I got a turtle. Wow, we've gone from 0 to pervert Dracula in record time.
Can you kill this
She's
guy?
biting him. She's biting the shit out of him. Get the fuck out of here, pervert Dracula. This is RetroPal stream. Good, clean family fun. Sorry you had to see that, kindergartners. Anyway, it's time to fight our nurse friend.
I guess so, but why? Dracula seems to be the enemy here.
We gotta have something to do in our downtime.
It's a nude Dracula.
This is a 6-button fighting game. Except instead of all the characters from Street Fighter, you got a bunch of pretty girl archetypes, I guess, based on what was popular in anime and manga at the time. You got your fitness girl, you got your nurse. There was a cat girl in there, I think I saw.
I will be damned. That is the correct time.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, it reads apparently from the system clock, and since you're emulating, yeah.
Trying to find some moves. Did they forget to put moves in this? Is that a move? That's a stupid move.
Danny, you died.
It sounded like she broke her ankle when she jumped at the end there. There's like a hurricane kick you can do.
Okay.
This is the hurricane kick? Are you shitting me?
It's just kind of lift. It's more less of a hurricane kick and more of a leg lift. 100 bits from Simon. Paul Rudd asked the sync identity generator to generate a new Dracula. God, I wish we'd have a new Tane in this game.
That's pretty incredible. I didn't expect new Dracula. I really didn't.
Did you like new Dracula? Is that a thing that's okay?
Yeah, sure. People are going apeshit for new Dracula. It's the new Twitch meta.
Is it?
So...
Chad, everyone, you all going crazy for new Dracula?
So this being a yellow label fighting game, it of course had its audience and its purpose. As an actual fighting game, it doesn't play too great. It's pretty stiff. The moves are hard to get out. I guess the art's pretty good. And it's got new Dracula in it. Other than that, I can't find much to recommend here.
Yeah, we have to stream in the new to Dracula category now. You got your ass kicked by that nurse.
I sure did, but at least the time was right. This is the end for us. New Dracula is going to take over this town.
That's terrible.
Can we see more FMVs? Let's see one more.
Yeah, I'll see another.
Why not, since we're here?
Mm-hmm.
I guess all these girls have different opening FMVs. Hopefully the next one we see is completely normal as well. And won't get us banned from Twitch.
It's a nude mummy.
Nude mummy. Nobody want to see that.
It'd just be all nasty bones and shit. Nude Frankenstein on. Now we're talking.
I don't... well...
Yeah, her. Yeah, be the poor waitress.
Alex, I got 3 words for you. Big titty Frankenstein.
Listen, we're all thinking it.
Ima host.
Oh shit! I wish we were dealing with new Dracula.
These girls are facing some problems. I actually like the animation in this game. These
Yeah,
character
it's good.
designs are just really outlandish. Man, and you gotta sweep up the shit after you kick that guy's ass.
God, that would suck.
You gotta go home early. Take a half day.
No, right after this, she has to go fighting the stewardess?
I guess.
Is that a stewardess?
Let's move on to our next game.
I was going to say, I don't think they should be fighting. I think they should be friends.
That's a hell of a way to start. All right, their next game was in July 21st, 1995. Let's play Virtual Volleyball. Okay, so you're covering the major genres here. Of course, you had to have a one-on-one fighting game, and of course, you have to have a volleyball game. Is this another game we need Rolo for? Probably.
Yeah, flight attendants and wait staff should not be enemies. They have a lot in common.
They have a shared struggle.
Exactly. They got solidarity. They should be forming a union.
Boy.
We got Mummy. We got Mummy. They must have heard my chants.
No, Alex, that's a volleyball.
No,
It's a living-
that's a freaking mummy's head.
It's a living sentient volleyball.
Volleyballs look a lot like mummies. You ever think
That's
about
Wilson from that one movie.
that? No one remembers Shipwrecked?
Castaway.
Castaway.
It took me a
God,
while to
I'm so
remember it too.
stupid.
Look at that guy in the background.
Thank you, Green Herring, for the 8-month resub.
Yeah, thank you for the sub.
I've never seen Castaway.
I've seen it. It's pretty good, actually.
I should see it. Okay.
Let's do World League. I guess there's a little mascot character.
I like him.
I think this game should be rated yellow label for that guy.
He's got little ears.
Some people might find him sexy.
Excuse you. Castaway is on Tubi? Fantastic. Oh, great. I can watch it with ads for, like, the Bingo Blitz.
I love Bingo Blitz.
No, you don't.
That's the next game we're covering.
I actually looked at the list to see if it was a bingo game. Thanks, Danny.
You gotta play rock, paper, scissors. Is that official? Is that tournament legal?
I don't know. I know nothing about volleyball except that I didn't like playing it because I would always get worried about being hit in the head.
Yeah, that's a concern with the big ball games. Dodgeball, volleyball.
I used to get hit in the head with basketballs all the time.
Oh man, this looks awesome. Look at this shit. I love the cutaways to the dude.
No longer on Tubi. Don't worry. I'll find a way to watch Castaway.
I need window focus.
Oh, sorry.
A lot of ads for Imagineer in this.
Yeah, a little,
Oops, I forgot to hit the ball. You know, by having the other team serve, you might as well just give the game to them. Because I don't know how to fucking play this. Crowd's looking good.
Because you're not big on volleyball.
I just don't know what buttons to press. God, what is this? How many freaking points are in a game? Are you gonna make me go to 25 or some shit?
I like the crowd texture. It's very swampy. It's like you're doing a show at Shrek's Swamp. I guess it's technically a tournament, not a show.
I can't play this for shit. I don't know who I'm controlling. I don't know what I'm doing. You're really gonna make me play the whole fucking 55-point set or whatever, right? Gah. No, how many points are in this? No, we're gonna go all fucking night. Alright, you wanna make me play to 255 points? We're gonna do it right now. I'm gonna lose every single one of them. Nobody's gonna have a good time. What do you think of that? If it doesn't stop at 11, I will shit my pants.
Please don't shit yourself.
No, of course it didn't stop at 11. Alright, who wants to tell me how many points are in an official volleyball game? Is it 21?
12 or 14, maybe 15.
Whoever said 12, you're wrong. You're
Okay.
completely wrong. Imagineer knows better than you.
Danny, you're getting your ass kicked. Oh my god, is it 21? Multiple people saying it's 21, so...
Alright, we're gonna get to 21. You want to play dumbass with me? I'll play dumbass with you. Oh, it turns out nobody was right. It was actually... the correct answer was 15. Whoever guessed 15, you had the correct answer.
I walk like that.
All right, my turn to serve.
Okay, Danny's got this.
I'm just gonna... Can I just leave?
No.
Oh, okay.
Danny's serving up volleyball.
Look,
Sorry!
nobody said this was easy.
You Defiant Optimist for the 12-month resub. That's a whole year. Thank you.
That's a whole year, thank you. I think Brazil put all their skill points into soccer.
That's fair.
Who's the Ronaldo of volleyball? I'm just impressed at how few polygons are in this game. We saw some really early-looking PS1 sports games when we were doing PlayStation Year 1. I think this looks worse than those.
It really does. This looks way worse than that tennis game we played. Oh.
So they get to serve again. I went through an entire game expecting to serve the next game, and instead they changed the rules so that they just serve all the time. That's great. If you want unfair, stupid bullshit volleyball, this is the game for you. And no, I'm not mad.
You having fun, honey?
September 1st, 1995 is when they released their next game. Jisun Mahjong. I wonder what this could be.
Chat's going, oh no, so that's no good.
I have the worst time whenever I play volleyball games. I don't think there's ever been a good one except for Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball.
And that's only because it has like a bunch of fun games to play.
And the volleyball's good.
Yeah.
What, it can be blue? What does that mean?
Is this Blue Label?
Uh-oh.
Is that a thing?
This is real life Mahjong? What is this, creep shot Mahjong?
Like, why are we staring at this guy's ass?
Oh, is it simulating the experience of going to the Mahjong parlor?
Okay.
Ah, shit, we took the wrong train. We took the A4 instead of the A3. I think we are going to the Mahjong parlor. Oh, it's on the bad side of the tracks. They got chain link fences over there.
I guess just the idea of seeing a fenced-in field with the chain link fence, I'm like, oh, that's a bad neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's a field.
Why are we slinking around?
I don't know. I love this. No
Just
way.
pressing our faces up to the chain link
we're
fence.
the Mahjong pervert.
Crawling around all Gollum-like.
Whoa.
Oh, hell yeah.
Whoa, this is fancy.
This is why we do it. This is the life we live.
Oh my god, those are full ashtrays, too. Wow.
I want to be here.
Me too.
Wow. That really romanticized the idea of going to the Mahjong parlor.
Sure did.
I want to do that. Alex, pick me up some cigs.
Okay. You want Virginia Slims?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You know my brand. Challenge mode. Oh, there was a party mode.
It is J. Jonah Jameson.
It is. Get me pictures of Mahjong Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I should get Danny those cigarettes that taste like shit. The ones that we watched in
That's what you're gonna do?
Yeah, they still make them in some way, I think.
I know, I'll get you the ones that taste like shit.
Listen. They're healthier for you.
Alright, it took several train stops, but we found our way to the Mahjong parlor. Let's lose our shirt.
Okay.
Ooh, 4-player Mahjong. We're getting fancy here. Oh, I don't want to use my brain today.
100 bits from the Green Herring to give Danny the cigarette from the Reddit post where the guy found it on the ground and smoked it. I posted that to the Discord, right? I'm pretty sure I did.
Sumo? You're sumoing with 5 tiles done? Okay, all right.
Is that good?
I guess Mr. Businessman just cheated and won the game. He's taking home all the money. Great. Good job, Yamada-san. You deserve this.
I don't like him.
Next game.
That was fast.
I refuse to play with Yamada-san. He's bullshit. He's a bullshit man. Okay, moving on to something completely different. September 29th, 1995, Mahjong no Janshi, Poi Poi Poimi. This sounds familiar. Is that a anime? The
You're
Poi Poi
thinking
Poimi?
of Puni Puni Poemi.
Oh yeah, I am.
Entirely different.
I am actually.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Puni Puni Poimi and Poi Poi Poimi?
Nudity,
Anyone want
I assume?
Anyone want to summarize that? Oh yeah, this is a yellow label game.
Oh no.
But I assumed it was based on an anime, so it was going to be okay. What's that bird on her head?
It's a cool bird. Cool.
That man's as big as a ship.
Thank you, Dank Blankly, for the Prime. So I do appreciate that.
Oh, thank you so much. Hope you enjoy Poi Poi Poimi, which is apparently different from Puni Puni Poimi.
I love how big that guy was. Bring back the giant. Wow, okay! I got another giant. Ask and we shall receive.
Welcome to a world where the girls are tiny and the men are impossibly huge.
She's so small.
Well, she's 10 years old.
Okay. What's in the book? Oh, okay, we're gonna find out. That's Mahjong Tiles.
Is it really?
Those are Mahjong Tiles. This is gonna be Mahjong, isn't it?
No.
Danny,
It's based on the hit property Poi Poi Poimi, which I'm sure exists. People are going to tell me about it any second now. Yeah, it's Mahjong no Janshi. I guess it's Mahjong. Man, so far, all the games we've played have had really awesome intros. Even the volleyball game, it had the volleyball guy. So what do you think? Are we going to play as one of the huge men or the tiny women?
I think we're going to play as a tiny woman, but I think the huge men are going to be like our stands, and we're going to be able to call them out to beat the shit out of each other.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I bet it's going to be like a fighting Mahjong game, where like big men fight. Like little ladies are just like, I'm calling my big man, buddy! And then the big man comes up and just beats the shit out of the other big man.
Yeah, there was a novel. It's called Little Women.
Have you seen the Bob Odenkirk Little Women?
No.
Did you know Bob Odenkirk was in a version of Little Women?
I did not.
Well, now you know.
This is FMV. You see the compression?
Yeah.
Why? Why does this need FMV? Could have done this in Sega Saturn graphics and it would look better.
Thank you, Green Herring, for the 100 bits, aka the budget of this game. Yeah, a little cheap.
They're doing what they can with what they got. Well, I want to get to the game, but I also want to see if they show anything cool or funny or interesting. It feels like it's on the cusp of that.
We just keep watching this, something cool's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna pay off any second now. This music sounds like it's from Alone in the Dark or some shit.
Wow!
シャバ行きの渡し船が出るまで時間があったんで一休みしとったっちゅうわけや。
I talk like that.
Lady, why you got horns?
I
Cool shades, though.
Oh, she does have horns. What the hell? Maybe those are her ears.
That's who I'm playing as, and or that's who I was in the last Mahjong game.
おお。
That was the guy creeping around town going to the Mahjong parlor.
I can see that.
Anyway, let's start the game.
第1話。
Cool.
I'm sure all that is going to pay off.
いうわけなんだ。
Are we gonna get yelled at by a
騒ぎ
mouse?
が起き
Oh,
ないうちに
okay.
3人を探し出すんだ。とりあえず1人目の手がかりはいらないみたいだぞ。
Well, so far this stream is paying off in terms of games that I've never seen before.
ちゃうち
What?
ゃう。
Is that an egg?
Yeah.
Ah,
No, it's just someone eating too much food.
Okay.
It's a big belly. Big
All right.
fucking belly.
Well,
big ass belly.
I don't know how we got here.
Sepicide, thank you.
I don't know how we got here. I pushed start and then suddenly that didn't even parse. That's what that was.
Like a goddamn blueberry.
That's where the yellow label came from. What about all those buildings?
Her belly was so big it did that. Okay.
Did we evacuate at least?
No. No survivors.
Well, we better play Mahjong.
麻雀。
See? He said mahjong. It's gonna happen.
変身した意味は一体。
Oh, she work at McDonald's?
Oh yeah.
Is that why that other lady was so big?
You have to be huge to work at McDonald's. Like, not a big belly or anything. You have to be like 8-9 foot tall.
Well, that was a great prelude for a Mahjong game. That explained everything. She reached before the first draw? Are you kidding me? Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna win this game. Alright, let's proceed with this farce. Yeah? Oh, I see. These games are flustering me tonight. I expect when you give me a Mahjong game, you give me at least a fair chance to win. Not just sumo on the third turn or reach on the first turn, for God's sake. Have some dignity. Grow up.
I wish I knew a damn thing about mahjong.
Oh, this is a bad situation to be in. That wasn't the right call, probably. 5? No, I don't need a 5.
Yeah, sorry if you're just joining us. You missed a nude Dracula.
Yeah, sorry about that. Alright, here we go. We're reaching. We need a 7 or a 9 of bamboo. I mean, of numbers. That's an H that she just discarded up there. Oh, this is gonna be close, but I don't think we're gonna do this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In the end, it was a very exciting draw. And the intro we saw definitely justified that.
I didn't like that intro, I just want to say.
That's the adventures of Poi 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 Me. I'm not gonna forget that for as long as I live. October 27th, 1995. Virtual Open Tennis. How you gonna make horn dog tennis, Imagineer? This is a challenge to you. How you gonna horn this one up? That one's so good. You can see anything on Sega Saturn.
You really can!
Alright, we're back to Red Imagineer.
Oh, I don't like that.
Now this game, I think, was actually released in other regions, though Imagineer published this Sega Saturn version. Before this, Imagineer got famous by publishing Japanese versions of PC games. Games like Lemmings, SimEarth, SimCity, SimCity 2000, and gradually they branched out to consoles. And this is the result you get, just a whole bunch of really weird, inexplicable games from people who are only in the very insular PC market. I guess you can think of this as like the PC gamers' view of the market back then. It's nothing but tennis games
The
and
way
mahjong
that
games.
did you see the shot of him?
It waffled on his face.
Yes!
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Why is there so much cinematography happening in goddamn Imagineer?
Did you see the turf? Man.
I know.
Bye, guys. Heading off to the mahjong parlor.
I like the logo for privacy. I think that's really good.
Privacy should have a logo. Whoa.
Okay.
Ooh, word art. Fancy. Acclaim released this one in the West. Yeah, so Imagineer you can consider the Acclaim of Japan for its time.
That's a good point of comparison, yeah.
Singles, Saturn versus
Sick
Saturn.
music.
One versus Saturn. Give me a freaking, yeah, just give me a regular. Give me
You
some
like the
regular
Purple
tennis.
Court,
Oh
Alan
my
West.
god. Oh my god.
Fox Rose, Robert Schroeder, Lorenzo Suarez, Alexei Ivanov, Jason Lee, Anders Rosenberg, Simon Lopez, Jimmy Walker, Ryo Ibuki.
Who are we playing as?
Alan West looks like, doesn't he look like, oh, who's that guy? Alan Wake? No. That guy from, the guy from the mall zombie game.
Frank West.
Frank West.
They even share a last name. Oh my god.
How did I forget that?
And yeah, was that supposed to be Jimmy J.J. Walker? They just kind of took the names from everywhere.
Play.
Okay.
Play.
Ooh, these are some beats. I like the ads for Sunlight.
I love Sunlight and Infinity.
Alex, look above the audience there.
Why is the Earth there? Are we in space?
I have so many more questions now.
Is that why there's an advertisement for Sunlight?
I guess so. There's an angle to this that I was not expecting. Oh man. Let's see
Yeah,
if-
are we on
let's-
the moon?
Let's see if I'm as bad at tennis as I am at volleyball. Yeah, there's the freaking Earth up there. Did I score a point?
You did.
I scored a point.
Hey!
Better than I did in volleyball. I was getting heated at volleyball.
Yeah, you were about to...
Losing 15 points in a row will do that to you.
That makes sense.
That's the superstar Brazilian volleyball team.
15, 30.
I like that they bob in sync with each other.
Yeah, I like the DJ set. I like the DJ at like Wimbledon who's going crazy here. Land Max, huh?
Double fault.
It's so hard to serve in this.
40.
Possibly because it's on the fucking moon.
Ball.
They should have advertised this on the box. Warning, this game takes place on the fucking moon.
We're showing off Saturn games tonight.
Yeah, games published by Imagineer.
Game receiver.
Their name's all over this.
I really like this music. I really, really do.
It's pretty good.
Ball.
Did you see that move I did?
That was good. Just a really good fall there.
I'm the worst at this. Alright, player 2. Alright, you got one over on me.
Love.
Old tennis games, especially of this vintage, are very hard to play, I find. It wasn't until Virtua Tennis that they really mastered the art. I don't know what my guy was doing over there. Did you see that in the replay? He was
I
just
like
kinda...
that. You just kind of...
Oh, take that. Thank you, Mr. Net.
15, 30.
Nice.
Okay, one more. We're gonna do one more volley here. Give me your worst. Oh, take that.
Sick.
Take that. I'm taking that as a win. Close the game.
Okay, we're good.
That's Virtual Open Tennis. Closing out the year 1995. Hell of a year for Imagineer. Closing it out December 15th, 1995 with Kaite Daisenso. This is a game that's more known under a different name. I bet a few people know it.
It's, do I know this?
I think you know this.
Is this Fin?
Oh, you wish.
I do wish. Oh, I know this. You're right. Oh, okay. Oh, I know this.
We're coming to blow up Fin.
Fin.
He's had it too good for too long.
I'm sorry, Fin.
Yeah, this is In the
We have
Hunt.
come to be your enemy.
This game also released in the US for PlayStation and Saturn. Also came out in arcades. Irem game from mostly the same team that later went on to make Metal Slug. So not a bad get for Imagineer. Probably just by default the best game they published all year. I don't remember this FMV.
I love this.
All stations report no damage. Same heading. Full speed ahead. All subs ready, torpedo.
All subs ready.
Sick.
Chubby Subs, aka In the Hunt. I prefer to call it Chubby Subs.
That's fair. Looking good.
Feel bad for the artist that had to draw this extremely intricate title screen and also an equally complex one for the US version.
Yeah.
Yeah, that title screen rules. All the art in this game is super good. It's like really detailed pixel art.
Chubby Subs, aka, according to chat, Chub Marines.
Chub Marines. There you
That's
go.
Good.
You know, the whole concept of submarines and undersea exploration in general is really taking a beating thanks to recent events.
Oh
but
my god. Okay. Can I can finally tell you about the situation I've been dealing with. I have a thing where I will become hyperfixated on a subject and go to YouTube to learn about it. And this one thing happens every time. I find one normal person who maybe a little awkward, but definitely informed, pretty normal. And then I'll run into another YouTuber who will be like, "Oh, you seem normal," and then they'll just say the most bonkers, crazy things. Anyway, long story short, I was watching a video on Ocean Gate, and they were all like, "Actually, it's pretty cool that the sub almost did this. The guy was really great." I don't know why everyone else was like, "Oh God, no, not
almost doesn't really cut it in that particular situation.
Yeah.
I think almost is pretty bad.
It was just this guy doing a really long defense about why actually it wasn't that bad. I'm just like, this sucks.
I don't want almost if I'm gonna be in that submarine.
Yeah,
also,
no.
I'm not gonna be in that fucking submarine.
I'm not either. I think I personally would have heard about the carbon fiber and been like, goodbye.
One cool thing in this game is that you can surface and you get different weapons to deal with the air enemies. This is such a good game. I keep meaning to go back and try and actually get good at this. Maybe even 1 credit clear it one of these days. I hear it gets pretty tough, though.
But like, that happens anytime I look up something on YouTube. I will find one YouTuber who I really like, and I'll be like, okay, I took a good chance on this, not so bad. And then I'll find another one, and they'll be like, this is why modern subways are degenerate. And I'll be like, what the hell are you talking about?
I didn't come here for this.
Train, shut up! Basically.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I love the way this game animates ships just like splitting in half. It's so good. Yeah, I recommend this one. On PlayStation and Saturn. And there's also an PGA Mr. Core for the arcade version. You should probably check that one out if you can. Okay, enough of this. Enough of these good games. I don't know what to do with these. We're in 1996. Oh my god, do I have a game for you, Alex? I was intrigued by the cover of this one. Starting off June 14th, 1996 with Photograph of a Crime, Hanko Shashin. If anyone wants to look up the box art for this and post it in chat, please do, because there's some great English on the front. Like half the words are misspelled. It's pretty good. Get me pictures of Crime Man. Yeah, there you go. Check out the bottom of that.
Okay, hold on. I want to see that.
Yeah, go ahead and click on it. You can do that. I give you permission.
Thank you. Wow. 13 Girls in Terror House. Oh my god, a deep mountain. Oh, they misspelled mountain. That's so cool.
They misspelled everything. So to me, this looks like Imagineer is getting into System Satcom territory.
Mm-hmm.
System Satcom had a game called Rampo, which was also crime-themed and full-motion video-driven. It was a pretty common thing back then, thanks to the popularity of Sega Saturn games like Machi. I think Machi actually came out after this, so maybe this is earlier and better. Green Herring, thank you for the 100 bits. Yeah, there you go.
That's actress in Terror House at Deep Mountain.
In Terror House at Deep Mountain. It's a sound novel. It's a novel you listen to. Oh, I see Yamada credited there. Is that the same guy who beat me at Mahjong?
Probably. That's him. That's who we're beating at Mahjong.
That's the guy slinking around outside the Mahjong parlor.
These are just random guys now.
Yeah, did half these people agree to be photographed?
It's like, I feel for the guy just carrying some cold ones.
The photograph of a crime. Let's do it. It's another Yellow Label game, I think, so look out.
Thanks.
In unison, they ask you if that's okay.
Oh my god, that's weird.
That's so bizarre. I hope there's a good opening to this. The photograph itself is the crime. All right, mystery solved.
Okay. No more crimes, no more times.
And hey, guess what? It's a sound novel. These are games where there's pictures and sound, and you do a whole lot of reading. Occasionally you make different choices. Let's do this one. Who's this jerk off?
I was gonna say, is this like, are you gonna get into a car crash and die?
Is this our stupid baseball boyfriend?
No, we're not dating him. I assume we're not a... That's us, I assume.
Okay, good. Now, the emergence of games like this meant that pretty much anyone could make this if you had any kind of budget whatsoever. So there was a whole bunch of companies competing in the space. When you see Imagineer involved, typically it's a pretty competitive space. Enough to the point where you could put out pretty much anything and maybe turn a profit, or at least make your money back.
You pissed him off.
Oh, I did? Well,
look at him.
Well,
Look how
boo
pissed off
fucking
he
who.
is.
Cry me a river.
Danny. Thank you, Service Kane 100 bits. Stupid Baseball Boyfriend, the sequel to Ninja Baseball Batman. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll tell him that I'm Doki Doki and Dere Dere for him.
Did you just... Excuse me?
I think he likes us.
Was that supposed to happen?
I guess so.
Okay.
He
The
likes
guy
it.
in the back is like, hell yeah!
You're doing good, man. Don't blow it. Hey, this is our coach.
Oh no, he's gonna hit us on the head with a piece of paper. He's gonna give us a smack.
You got a pen? I'm gonna write down 100 things I love about baseball. I don't know if anything is gonna match Tokyo Shadow. That was the best sound novel we ever played for Sega Saturn. Had a great ending, too.
Pension?
Tsubasa! Oh no, we're at the mansion. It could be spooky. The one game of these I want to see translated is a game called Kamaitachi no Yoru for Super Famicom. That's a really good one, but unfortunately it hasn't been rendered in English yet.
Is this a mansion game? I think it might be.
Oh, it could be. Wow, the gang's all here.
Hey, girls.
Is that a soda machine?
Yeah. I love the lady the lady's leaning on the soda machine because, like, in the intro, all she does is, like, lean against stuff.
She's good at leaning. So this is going to be one of those games with an ensemble cast where you learn to love everybody and then they all get killed off or something. I don't know. I'm the manager. Well, this is going to go on for a while. I assume there's 40 more hours of this. So maybe if you want to learn the mystery behind the photograph of a crime, check it out.
Check it out.
Oh, who should we pick? Rei, Maki, or Shoko?
Shoko.
Okay. We're going with Shoko.
Hey, Shoko.
That's Shoko. Me whispering to my date, that's Shoko. Alright, anyway, next game. They're going where the money is. And where the money is in fighting games and I guess sound novels. Let's see where our next game takes us. July 19th, 1996. Shoyu Sangokuengi. I hear Sangoku, and all I can think of is Three Kingdoms. That's probably what this is.
I was going to say, it's going to be some map game stuff. I know you love it.
Oh no, map games.
You love map games.
If I see a single hexagon, I swear to God. Oh God, it's Blue Imagineer. Hide your children. You already run Mahjong before I even started playing? All right.
You got Ron
Fine.
to get the goddamn loading screen, honey.
I didn't even know we were playing Mahjong. Oh, I got nothing against hexagons, but when I see them in strategy games, I instantly go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Declared Ron on me in record time. Hey, declare Ricci on me at least first. Anyone getting all this? Because I'm not reading this.
Yeah, I'm not reading it either.
Judging by what we've seen, we're very likely to see a live-action intro after this. Something like half the games we played have had live-action FMV.
I really want to see a man on a horse. I hear Sengoku, I think men on horses. Horsemen, yes, yes.
This looks like horse times.
I want to see a horse.
Yeah, at least buy me a drink before you won't turn sumo me. You get me.
Okay. Listen, I'm also hoping for
Oh,
new
he's little.
Blue Boo.
That guy was little, but he had huge shoulders.
Yeah.
Dude, we're all drinking with the Sakura blossoms. This is romantic.
This is cool.
This is the true romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Turns out there was a war or something? We couldn't just hang out with our buds? Yeah, it's everyone's favorite guys.
Love these guys. Yo, sick boats.
Pretty good boat.
I like that boat. I love
like
the
his-
early CGI
His
here.
headgear is pretty good. I like that it was tied in a little bow. That outfit's a little bit better. The color scheme screams toddler to me.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's hundreds of years later. I can shit talk these guys all I want. They're not gonna lead a war on me. Yeah, which one of these was Lu Bu?
I wanted to say it was the guy in blue, but I could just be assuming.
Oh, you think it's Lu Bu just because he's in blue?
Yeah,
That does kind of make sense.
Boo's blue. Da buddy.
The guy on the boat was Lu Bu?
Okay. Okay, so the guy in the crazy headgear is Lu Bu.
Want a bowl? We have really tiny bowling balls back then.
Cool dragon.
Partake of the orb.
I want that guy to give me an orb.
Cool intro, almost guaranteed to be a strategy game. News Corporation.
Press button.
I'm pressing. Let me play the video game. Here we go.
Okay. Whoo, buddy!
Oh, mouse controls. Oh, no. Scenario 1.
Our kingdoms are romanced.
Is our work done already, or the kingdom's already romanced?
Yeah, they're all kissed.
We don't need to romance them anymore.
Kissing friends.
There's too many places. I'm overwhelmed already. Look at that guy. He's overwhelmed too. He hates his job. What about this guy? Well, he's a little bit too into it. What about this guy? He's ready for battle.
Yeah, I like him.
I don't want to fight any of these guys. I just want to be their friends.
Seems cool.
Yeah, let's go to this guy.
Hey, guy.
My level's not high enough to meet him.
That sucks.
It's still taking me there.
Okay. Are you gonna get rejected?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hey Alex, I think it's time for our next game. Well, that was a really good intro to a game that I have no interest in playing. I have the feeling that the same is going to apply for our next game.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
August 23rd, 1996, it is time for 3D Lemmings. Far too long have we streamed with never streaming 3D Lemmings, and we're about to fix that right now.
It's been No, it hasn't been that long since we've had Lemmings on. Haven't we had Lemmings on recently?
I think we played the Super Nintendo Lemmings 2 where you could shoot the lemmings with the Super Scope.
Yeah, I think we did that.
I don't think we've ever covered 3D Lemmings. This got a US release on PlayStation and PC. The Saturn version was exclusive to Europe and Japan.
Presents in association with Psygnosis.
There's that freaking owl.
Everyone loves that goddamn owl.
A perfect entertainment production.
Well, there we go.
I have high expectations. Looking a little fragmented there.
I don't like it.
Alright, 3D Lemmings intro. Just fuck me up. They really are the king of intros, these guys. Imagineer. Fuck!
You did it this time! What's with this music?
What's with this? Yeah, I like that they launched the disc directly into the trash.
Sorry, it looks like they're gonna like snipe the lemmings.
I hope they do. Oh no, not the 3D button!
I see.
You push the 3D button! There's no going back from this. Yeah, it's nice that they explain how the lemmings got 3D.
Wow, sick!
Your Amiga exploded, it was full of lemmings.
That's how the Sabrina comic's gonna end. Cool,
Whoa.
I do that.
We're on high alert now. The lemmings are loose and they're in 3D. Wow, good title screen. Alex, I rented this back when the PlayStation was new.
Why?
I was hoping for something as good as the Super Nintendo Lemmings, which I actually enjoyed, but this was not the same level of quality, let's say.
Okay, I'm looking forward to. Oh, okay.
Play.
Practice. Code. Options. Memory. Options. Code. Practice. Play.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Blocker. Climber. Splitter block. Slippery.
Sorry, I had to get that out of my
No,
system.
thank you.
Practice. Play.
No, I just want to. I want to play. I don't want to practice. I don't want to practice.
Okay. Play.
Get me to the game.
Practice.
All right, if I pick practice, is that the game?
Tricky. Taxing. Mayhem. Practice. Fun.
Oh, I see.
Tricky. Taxing. Mayhem. Practice. Fun. Play.
The menu itself. The menu itself is an obstacle.
Oh, that's no fun.
This is how you sound saying that shit. Yeah, I'm shit talking the Lemmings. Looks great.
Okay.
The Lemmings Industrial Complex.
This is looking a little cursed. Just a little cursed. Not sure if I like these 3D Lemmings.
Let's go.
All right,
Danny, this sucks!
how the hell do you control this? All right, you got pan to the left and right.
Nope. Next game. This is bad. This is bad. This is not suitable for human enjoyment.
Here we go. Okay. Where are these little fuckers going? Oh yeah, good job, fellas. Just keep climbing. When do I need to do something?
Oh, looks like I used something at the top.
How to rotate? Oh, I probably need to...
Corner. Corner. Corner.
Eh?
Corner. Corner.
Oh, I see. Okay. I think we need to put a turner right up here. You guys, are you coming?
Hello?
The controls for this are atrocious. You pan left with X, you pan right with B. You gotta hold L and push Y to zoom in, and push A to zoom out. You guys?
Hello? They're making
Oh my
it.
god, they're so slow!
Can you give them some caffeine? just I have a coffee in the fridge. I got like 3 of them actually. There was a sale.
Okay, so once they get, like, right here, I need to, like, target it and actually
Okay.
make him turn.
Kill them. Kill the Lemmings.
No, we're gonna guide them to safety because we're good people.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
We have to help the Lemmings. Yeah, this game sucks. I didn't like this when I rented it. It's, even if you do get used to the controls, it's very cumbersome and not really all that fun. I remember there being just like one solution to every level, whereas in the first game you got a little bit of wiggle room to experiment. Let's see if I have the right button to tell the guy to turn.
Alright, let's go.
Like right here.
Corner. 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 Okay.
Oops. 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 Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, what have I done? Oh no. Oh no. I was too late. I was too late. I tried to make him turn, Alex. I tried to make him turn.
Danny! Yeah, we're just doing the Disney's True Life Adventures.
Our next game,
Talk about Imagineering.
September 6th, 1996. It's time for Heartbeat Scramble.
All right,
I'm gonna let the cat out.
Okay, good.
You start up the game.
Tess, if you came over here, I'd give you pets. I know you want that. That's what you did last time. I had to like pet you for like 30 minutes. You killed so many lemmings.
Let the record show I had the right idea. The execution, well, it's like Ocean Gate. I almost did it.
Uh-oh.
I got pretty close. Yeah, this is fine.
Can't. I'm just gonna say it. If James Cameron privately contacted me and was like, hey, don't do something, I think it might be dangerous, I would listen to him.
That was an execution, yeah. Sorry about that. Oh, here we fucking go. Now this looks like a game.
Okay.
We got women and fish. Second dolphin sighting.
That's a beluga, dude.
That is a beluga. You're right. They're much stupider looking.
They are stupider looking. They're cool, though.
I wish I was a beluga.
Me too. I wish I was an orca. Those things are cool as hell.
These fish have their own building.
Yeah, it's called an aquarium, Danny.
All right, fair enough.
Are you having fun?
What do we... Oh no, it's that roller coaster that started to bend.
No, it's not the Fury 325. That's very clearly a... Actually, it looked like a Zare. I don't know.
All right, so take your bets. What kind of game is this? A game called Heartbeat Scramble with this intro.
It's a dating sim.
I'm going to say another sound novel.
Sorry, I just feel like she's gonna toss her food into the ocean.
I'd pick somewhere
Just
more
feed the
more
fish.
peaceful. It looks like the waves are going to get up into your sushi.
That is a sick car. What the hell?
That's pretty sick.
I'm just riding around the bus and she's driving the sick car.
Yeah, what was she out on? A trash barge? just
I
unpacking
thought
my
it
bento.
was a trash barge too. Okay.
That's very convenient. Once you're done with your bento, you can just toss it overboard.
Have you ever been to a landfill in real life?
Uh-uh.
Me either. I want to go someday. I bet they're cool.
I bet it smells like trash there.
I know! It's gonna be great!
We are two different people, Alex. Heartbeat Scramble.
Alt Jam!
Alt Jamp.
That sounds like one of the names of one of those, like, weird sellers you see on Amazon. Where you're just like, alright, I guess I gotta buy my rice cooker from Jelt Camp or whatever. Alt Jam.
Thank you, Green Herring, for the 100 Alt
Thank
Jamps.
you.
Our name is A.E.
That's my name.
We're a caveman. Yep. Wow, we're a dork.
Oh my god, look at us! Have some dignity, man. Thank you, Simon, for the 100 bits. Time to go down to the fish building and watch some water donkeys do a bunch of funny flips and dips. While I eat some creamed ice. Listen.
That's the life right there. Thank you for the bits.
Thank you.
Yep, it's looking like this is a sound novel style game where you just read a bunch of dialogue and then make some choices. And meet new friends.
Hey! Champ made J-SWAT. Okay.
Oh man, this is the J-SWAT people?
Girls,
Cool.
do you like J-SWAT? Do women like oh, look at him. He should not have mentioned J-SWAT.
He's talking about his favorite Sega Saturn games. That'll alienate all the women.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 90s. Nowadays, that would get you somewhere.
Yeah, ladies love Sega Saturn now.
Oh, it's Golden Week. We gotta celebrate. This is my chance, he says.
This guy was surfing in the oh, God. If you missed our Monday stream, we played a little intro of Girls Club. Do watch that.
Tairyoku is what that meter reads. What does that mean? Attention span, maybe?
I guess. I can't get over how much of a dork this guy is. I'm sorry.
This seems kind of limited and bad compared to the other games we've seen. But at least the intro had a cool car in it.
I did like the car.
Maybe we're trying to get with this girl just so we can take a ride in her car. Hello, sir. Are we getting beaten with a rod?
Yes, sir. Beat me, sir.
This is a kendo guy. Hell yeah, it's kendo time.
I bet there's a kendo babe you're gonna meet. Oh. Sorry, I guess there's no Kendo Babe.
We're just
I
being
really was
introduced to all the
hoping for
characters.
one.
We're just being introduced to all the characters.
Okay,
This could be a Tokimeki Memorial like.
that's the vibe I'm getting, but with like pictures of real ladies.
Oh, that's a good niche. I can see why they did this. Definitely not something I want to play, but good on them.
You're meeting so many ladies.
Yeah, we're having a good day. All right, we're getting one last woman as a treat before we
Okay.
move on.
I like your bedroom. 100 bits from Seraphis Kane. The waitress at Denny's telling me for the 12th time there's no heartbeat scramble on the menu.
Thank you. Let's go to the ramen store.
Okay. Will we see a ramen babe?
Maybe. Should we take a part-time job here? Yes.
Okay. Where are the babes?
We gotta work our way up to the babes.
Okay.
We're starting at the bottom. Oh no, my Taidyoku. I got more money though. Yeah, this seems to be a Tokimeki like, just with real women for some reason. Okay. Yeah, that's a niche. I don't, I can see why you did that.
Real women are a niche?
Well, now they are.
Okay.
Yeah,
guy!
I'm in this game too.
This guy.
Sorry, dude, we don't have time for you. We're moving on. October 25th, 1996. Starfighter 3000. This was a game that was released in the States as just Starfighter. They added the 3000 to make it more exciting, I guess. Japanese Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah, we did leave him hanging.
I love leaving that guy hanging.
Yo, up high. No, don't close the game.
Now he's just stuck there making that face forever, Danny. I hope you're happy.
Good.
Okay. Wow, that was a really bad looking Imagineer logo.
Yeah, that's the worst one
oh,
so far.
no! Chrysalis.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny. No.
What do you think of this title screen?
I'm having some soda. I hate this. It's pissing me off so much. Hold on. Let me open this away from the mic here.
We are FedNet.
Still
The
fucking
year
loud.
is 3037, and we are now in control.
Turn it up for us a little bit. I want to hear this guy.
This is a simulation run to provide test data for the Starfighter project, a part of the FedNet Ultimate Expansion Program.
Let the demo mode play to hear Death by Stereo. Okay, you got it.
Got it.
And yeah, Chrysalis, this would be the Matt Furnace studio.
For future analysis and
Really?
development
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
spearheading the drive for the next generation of
They had to do something after Pugsy.
assault craft.
Yeah, there's no dub or subtitle for this. This is the Japanese version we're playing. So much early FMV was just this. Complex sci-fi stuff just happening.
This information is strictly classified. Date
Do you think the pilot of the spaceship is Pugsy?
Yes.
Welcome to FedNet Total Immersion Systems, Program 3.
Everyone, we're logging on to FedNet.
You are Squadron Leader 1.
This is a port of an Acorn Archimedes game? Okay.
Whoa, holy shit.
Mark form. Medium range fighter.
This is the FedNet command and control vehicle, the Mothership. Developed as a launch and defend craft to oversee the combat arena, it is an awesomely powerful defensive craft and tactical control center.
It's so awesome.
It's so cool.
That's a pretty long ship. Yeah, Pugsy's from space.
Do you think you could beat up Pugsy?
Fitted with 3
Oh no, he has a gun.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
air missiles.
Well, that's no
It is
good.
capable of
Oh.
carrying
And
out
sunglasses.
Yeah,
tactical fighters over long distances.
He'd kill me.
This would be a good Mind's Eye presentation
It is.
video.
It is serving some mind's eye, yeah.
Pretty good jams. Not much has happened in this intro, though. I have high expectations. I expect to see several FMV women in your intro. And frankly, I don't see a single one. Maybe the ship's
This
woman.
is the Predator
Maybe.
Mark IV, a hybrid planetary assault vehicle.
Checking stabilizers. Initiating ignition sequence. Tracking lock.
Mascot Friday list where we determine what mascots we can take on in a fight. Good idea.
Is Pugsy a girl?
Danny! I don't know!
Sorry, the question just occurred to me.
Unspecified. That works. Okay.
Hyperdrive thrusters
That's just
built with
Danny.
gyroscopic stabilizers, which
I-
gives excellent handling
I-
at high
Yeah,
and
Samus
low
is a girl.
altitudes over a range of operational speed.
The alien species fandom wiki says male, but that doesn't count. IMHO. Pugsy's a non-binary icon.
Do
Don't
not
corrupt
corrupt Pugsy with
gender.
gender. That's true. That would just slow them down.
Onboard energy processors allow
Metroid is a
for
girl.
reconfiguration of many of the
Oh, this is still going.
I was gonna say, are we gonna play a game or?
which gives the
This is
ship
twice as long and 1/10 as interesting as every other FMV we've seen
Yeah,
so
they've all
far.
had anime babes, and this is
I'm babeless.
yeah. Where are the babes?
This intro is just like, in the future, there's a really cool ship. That's it.
Yeah, I also am getting Space Mutiny vibes.
Good luck, pilot.
A cool plane is like a babe for certain types of people.
That's true.
Better than last time.
No, pilots think of planes as being babes. It's true.
Looks like I'm gonna need
Ship captains also see ships as babes. I know this because I've been watching a lot of shipwreck YouTube.
and Jake 9.
Oh, haven't we launched already? Space is boring. Why does everything take place in space? It's so fucking boring up there. Oh, good job. You opened up 3 hatches. I'll throw you a fucking parade.
Launch sequence. Hazel 5. Talon 3. Jake 9. Attack team will launch.
I'm sick of this ship.
Minus 5. 4.
Yeah, this is real. When are we getting to the fireworks factory?
1. Launch successful. Radar lock detected. 6 seconds till enemy craft achieve weapons.
Is there even any room on the disc for the game?
Tracking multiple incoming targets.
Yeah, vehicles are just naturally babes. Don't ask why. Planes, boats, cars, all babes. You know, people refer to their vehicles and their planes with female pronouns. Do they do that with buses?
Okay.
Or trains?
Here she comes over the hill.
We're going in.
She's sliding.
Arr, she's making her dedicated stops.
I'm gonna be like that for buses now. I want to be like that. I like that logo, FedNet.
Worst intro so far, and that's because this isn't an Imagineer
Wow,
original.
look at this! This sucks! This is some like 300 games in one Windows. Oh, this is no good.
Rookie.
Yeah, very shareware core.
Welcome to FedNet Total Immersion System.
Thank you, it's nice to be here. Let's get immersed. No, I've had enough of your FMV. You had your chance.
Mm-hmm.
Why they let people make FMV if they're just gonna make it boring? Like, you should have your rights to make games revoked after that. Anyway, the game itself isn't so bad, I guess.
Oh, this looks...
Well, I pushed the A button a few times and completely lost control of everything.
Thank you for the 100 CD-ROM bit screen here. Appreciate it.
Oh, I forgot to let the intro play, like Smetal asked us.
Oh, yeah.
I was too bored.
Oh, you got bored? You weren't supposed to... Oh, well.
So, of the few Sega Saturn games to ever be released worldwide, this one got released in the States. I have backwards fire? Oh boy. I don't want to crash. I don't want to crash.
You're good.
Am I?
No.
Don't let me fly a plane. It's It's a bad idea. Oh, I got a map? Why do they give you all these different controls? There we go. Take out this dome.
Fuck yes, no dome.
Fucking dome, get out of here. Make way for progress.
Cool,
Alex, I have a tragic tale to tell you.
okay, tell me.
I know someone in real life whose dad had a Sega Saturn, and this is the only game he ever had for it.
Really?
Yes.
Oh no.
Imagine living that life. You have the greatest game console known to exist, and this is the only game you ever have for it. And
Oh,
you think,
that's so
man,
sad."
Sega Saturn blows.
Yeah, Dark Witch Claire. Absolutely Jaguar energy from this game.
Big Jaguar energy. Well, if you're looking for this kind of game, it's called Starfighter, and you can get it in any region. Lucky you. Woof. That was a real dog you picked up, Imagineer.
Are you gonna... Bullshit, next game! You were supposed to... No, whatever.
November 22nd, 1996, we're shifting back into high gear with Fist. Forget what you just saw. We're playing Fist.
Okay, I'm excited for Fist. I know Fist.
Man, make a note, Starfighter is not invited back on the stream. It's been blacklisted. Fist!
Doo, 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 doo. I love this.
This is a pseudo-sequel to Pretty Fighter X in that I think it has some of the same characters, but it's at least by the same, publisher.
Huge faces. I love it.
And Pretty Fighter X is 2D, but this, Alex, this is a 3D game.
Oh no.
You know Tekken? This is better. Or more accurately, it's more like Virtua Fighter,
Okay.
because there's one button for block. Just toss
You
her
just
up.
flipped her like a table.
I want to do that again.
Bonk. It's like you were doing the water bottle flip, but with an anime
But
babe.
with a lady, yeah.
All right. Music is by the same folks who did the music for Battlemania. Okay.
Look at
When?
these polygonal models.
Ready? Go!
This move seems to be pretty good. Comes out pretty quick. I played a little bit of this before the stream, and I played it before. This game doesn't play great. It may be worse than Pretty Fighter X, in fact. However, it does look like this, and that's a point in its favor, in my opinion.
I do like this, yeah.
I win!
You did it.
I'm the king of Fist.
You fisted it, babe.
Modding versus modding? You can't do this.
Ready? Go!
I want to say this also came out on PlayStation, so you can get it there too if you really want.
I'm pretty sure this came out on PlayStation, because I know we've shown this off before.
And I do have an original copy of this for Saturn. Because, I mean, come on, it's Fist. It comes with a mini CD.
Girl? Okay. I was gonna say she fell asleep during the middle of the match.
Up you go. I want to finish her off with a throw. Oh, that was a good move. Get up!
Okay.
No, I want to do the cool throw. I think she's learned my moves. The AI is adapting.
That's no good. I like that. You just jumped.
She was on the ground for several seconds. Oh yeah, the cover of this also has really good English text that the opponent pasted in there.
Yeah. I remember Warp Speed to Their World and it out right now. I remember that.
And it out right now. This does not play well. Virtua Fighter, this is not. It does have a pretty unique look to it, though. I would say it has an inspired low-poly visual look to it, but I don't think that was intentional.
Well, I feel inspired by it.
Me too. Not a great game to play. I wish it had intros like all the characters in Pretty Fighter X had.
Yeah. Where's Pervert Dracula?
We're missing out on new Dracula. It's a feeling you've never experienced before. Or experienced before. One other thing I want to show off.
Okay.
This is obligatory. Every time you play Fist, you gotta show this off. This has a character viewer.
Oh, God, I think I remember this.
You remember the character viewer. You definitely remember that. Stream's making us illiterate. Did the game just crash?
Did it?
Can you hold the tilde for a second?
Oh, sure. Where's that bad boy?
Yeah, it crashed. Go ahead and restart
That's
it.
funny. All right, hold on.
You gotta see this character viewer. I love the Sega Saturn. I've seen so many games tonight that I'd never even heard of before, but they all have such amazing intros.
They do.
Is that what I'm gonna remember Imagineer for? Just a company with amazing intros, but the games themselves are just, this. Let's see who we were just playing as.
Okay.
青木マリン16歳女子高生ですスリーサイズは85
No.
56
Back up.
14なの青森出身の女の子タッピ岬が懐かしいわそれから血液型はパンピーな映画趣味は
Hello, Alex.
Oh my God.
最近女子高生って言われないで小ギャル
Danny!
I just pushed a random button and it did that.
そんな変なこと
This is the B button.
Okay.
私たちはみんな普通の女子
She's just flying all over the place.
Now, we played this before, and we determined that there are more polygons in her panties than her face.
I remember that, yes.
We counted. Very interesting game. Oh my god.
Ah! Sorry, ma'am.
Some more polygons in my what? You were looking? Let's move on to our next game. Finishing up the year, 1996. What a year it was. Our final game, released on December 13th, 1996, is Melty Lancer, Ginga Shoujo Keisatsu. Galaxy Policewomen, Melty Lancer. What's with companies latching onto the word melty?
Yeah!
No one uses that word unless you're describing a kind of cheese, unless you're in a Kraft macaroni and cheese commercial.
I was gonna say, that's like, save that for the grilled, for the artisanal grilled cheese.
Yeah, we got melty lancers, we got melty blood. Come on, guys.
We got Melt Banana.
Well, that's
Not a
different.
video game.
About time we got a vocal opening. Big 90s J-pop single, Melty Love from Shazna. We were going melty crazy. Melty? Tanky? These are Blondie words.
True.
So this is the first entry in a series for this company. I have no idea what kind of game this is, but there is a sequel. And then, for some reason, there was a third game that was made by Konami?
What?
Konami took over this series at some
Why?
point. There's a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to Imagineer. This intro is unfortunately minimally animated.
It's not so bad.
They're cool.
I like the ears.
Hey, it's not Starfighter. I'll take
It is
this over
better.
ships.
Okay, the this also has an anime. Good. From 1999. Wow.
Oh, wow. So the anime is after the game. Maybe Imagineer had kind of a hit with this one. Melty Lancer.
Yeah, no way the game's going to be as good as the intro, but, you know.
Oh, that was so good, though.
This is
I
almost
want this.
certainly a raising development sin.
This is going to be-
Police
This is going to
Base?
be an arcade side-scrolling action platformer that's better than Metroid and Castlevania combined. Just because
Cop racing sim. Now that's interesting.
it's a cop racing sim. Oh no. I don't want to raise a cop.
Funny, I'm sorry. Oh, the Multi-Lancer anime is on Tubi? Alright, Tubi's back on the menu, boys.
All right, Alex, you got to watch the Melty Lancer anime.
I will.
Report back.
I love watching Tubi.
I don't want to raise cops.
Well, one of your cops is a cat girl.
I guess that's cool.
よろしくお願いします
That outfit.
Priestess cop.
What kind of cop is that?
Cat cop.
前から
Creature cop.
Creature cop. I think that was an 80s movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're here. We're here.
Airport. Oh, there's a lot of places to go. Oh, God.
Look at all the different places you can go.
Ultra Pancake, that kicks ass that you're watching the Carol Burnett show. That rocks.
Good.
Good stuff. Thank you, Green Aaron, for the 100 bits in the mouse
Whoa.
top. God.
"全力を
You know, unfortunately, so many of these games aren't really games that we can appreciate, being so reliant on the Japanese language. This seems to be in order. Yes.
Alright, put all your points into bad parking. Cool.
Masukome? We're putting people on communications? Who would be a good PR person? I guess Angela.
Yeah.
Why do we need a PR studio? Well, we are cops.
I was gonna say.
Uh-oh. They're holding meetings on us.
You're like, I don't know about these cat cops.
I don't know about these Melty Lancers. Yeah, this does seem to be a cop life / cop raising simulator.
It's so funny.
What
Princess cop, yeah.
what a strange melding of genres here. I guess it was successful for them. We're gonna see the sequel any minute now, so we might as well move on.
Okay.
Good into the year, 1996. They really came into their own with that whole photograph of a crime and heartbeat scramble and Fist. Let's not forget Fist.
Can't forget Fist.
1997. This is the last year they would really hugely support the Saturn. 1998 only had one game from them, but they're going out with a bang, starting with February 28th, 1997, Drift King Shutoko Battle 1997. This is a game that I think was released on PlayStation, stateside as Tokyo Highway Battle. It's one of them games, one of them Shutoko Battle games from Genki. Yeah, we haven't seen an anime lady eat a huge sandwich.
Yeah, we usually see them eat sandwiches. Where are the sandwiches? I love Genki. You gotta
There's
love
that Genki logo.
I love it. You just, mwah. Pure perfection.
Yeah, this started the Tokyo Extreme Racer series. It was big on PlayStation, Dreamcast for a while.
Hey, that guy was, what the fuck?
I think for the US version, they got rid of all the live-action FMV, so this is a treat for us.
Insane. Hey, they got a real guy who could do drifting really well.
Maybe he's just faking it.
No.
Like he's really good at miming it. Yeah, you gotta have at least one racing game, and a fighting game, and a Mahjong game, and several sound novels. Well, Jalico published the US version. Yeah, we got a Jalico connection. Yeah, that's some real nice melty driving you were doing out there.
Melted it well.
I'd like to thank my melty pit crew. This is some good drifting.
I like the footage of the real drifting. That's cool as hell.
I like the game immediately establishes that it has some cred. Like, no, we've seen cars do actual drifts. This game's gonna be alright.
I would like a Moe racing game where they're all racing each other.
They're all racing to a sandwich.
Yeah. They're all racing to those, like, breads on...
Breads on string.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Do not drift over that bridge. That seems dangerous.
World's longest horizontal drift.
That guy is cool as hell. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them.
Dude, that coat is basically a robe.
I love it. God, I love men's fashion.
That's a big fucking tailpipe. Does that mean your car's better if it's bigger?
Yeah. It means your car can do drift good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, drift good.
About time we played one of these games. Let's do it. We got a scenario.
Oh, hello.
レーシングドライバーの土屋圭一です。なんか俺と勝負がしたいってやつがゴロゴロいるみたいで、まあそんな腕じゃとてもじゃないけど勝負する気にはなりませんから、まあ君たちの腕がですね十分に上がってきたらいつでも勝負して。
What's that manga he got back there?
それでは。
What's he reading?
Ranma. Not sure, I don't fucking know.
Probably some motorcycle manga. What kind of cars we got here? Weirdly boxy looking cars.
I like them.
I'll take the purple one. Yeah, this looks good. Let's race.
Let's do it.
I don't think that's what the tailpipe is for.
The tailpipe is for dragons, Danny. Moving on. Go, Danny, go.
You were supposed to de-escalate that.
Okay.
Oh, something's wrong with my car. There we go. Imagineer, let's go!
Yeah, it's fine. I'm getting banned. That's
You should
fair.
be. You can honk? This is the best racing game ever. Can I get a better view? Yeah, here we go. I'm gonna honk at this bus. Get out of the way, bus.
Don't be rude to the bus.
Hey, stay off the highway if you can't haul ass like me. I yelled that out the window.
You're yelling at all these like old ladies on the bus. It's like, beat it, ladies. Ladies and disabled people, I gotta.
Dude, there's like SUVs in this. That's pretty advanced. Usually these kinds of games of this vintage would have one or two types of cars, but there's buses and SUVs and shit. That would be pretty unique to see back then. In games where you just expect to see race cars. And, you know, racetracks instead of highway-styled levels.
That bus was the bus from Speed.
I'm making sure to honk at everybody.
Okay, good. That's what's most important.
Hey, can you drift in that piece of shit? Didn't think so.
Oh, it's trying to. That bus is trying to fuck
Oh
with
no,
you.
it's trying to drift.
It is.
Oh my god, it's boxing me in. I think I've made the Tokyo Bus Drivers Association mad at me.
Well, you shouldn't have yelled at them, dope.
We're on the highway, not the slow way.
Well, there driving a giant thing that could crush your car at any second. Don't be mean to bus drivers.
I leaned on the horn the entire time I was drifting in front of that guy.
I think you're cool now.
Yeah, he thinks I'm really cool. I'm cutting off everybody as
You're
I
just
honk
playing
my
as the most annoying driver in Tokyo. No way you honk when you pass people. Fuck.
Gotta show him up. This game's great. This is the best game we played all night.
Oh. Okay. I like the way you just gently bounced off the wall.
I had to get in a few more honks. Alright, let's do one more lap.
Okay.
I'm liking this game. Let's go ahead and finish this level and see if we get some good FMV. Weave it across all 3 lanes.
You're just driving like normal. You're the king of the highway.
That's me. Get out of here. Those were the green car twins. I smoked them.
Killed their ass.
Fuck off. Man, I'm so cool. Whoa, hey!
You're getting beaten by your rival. No!
Okay, I'm Monster Hunter gripping the controller now so I can honk and accelerate at the same time.
Danny is. I just checked.
Got my thumb on the A button and index finger tapping the Y button. Oh, this is tech. Look, it's getting sunset.
Oh, nice, nice. Sorry, your rival's kicking your ass.
I'll get him.
Okay.
What do you think of this? He can't take the pressure. He can't take it.
Oh shit!
I was mind gaming him.
You were. But you're doing good.
I like this. I can see why this turned into a long-running series. The whole highway aspect really gives it a different flavor than other racing games. That you get to be a huge jerk to buses. Take that, public transportation.
Jesus!
Jumped
You're
right in
fine,
my
though.
way.
That was like some random truck. You just ruined some Walmart shipment of Funkos or whatever.
This game should cross over with that one art truck game we played.
Oh yeah. That game was good.
Final lap. I don't have time for a third lap. Well, this is a good game. You should play this if you like good games. I'm going to park across the entire highway so no one else can use it. Good game. Good game.
Good game.
Up next, May 23rd, 1997, Ryu Teki Gosenen.
Dragons of China, huh? I'm gonna be disappointed when this is a strategy game.
Is that the subtitle?
Yeah.
Oh man, Dragons of China.
Please, please show me real dragons. I want to see real dragons. I don't.
I want
these
FMV
dragons
of real
to be
dragons.
metaphorical.
No CG, no animation. I want real footage of real dragons.
Show me.
Like that movie, Dragonheart. Ah, real dragons.
I was gonna say disappointing so far, but I bet there'll be a dragon. Yeah,
either-
I'm also getting.
It's either
romance.
Mahjong or Romance of the Three Kingdoms or sound novel.
Hello, sir. Looking mighty sickly today.
Melty face.
Hello.
Watch, the artist is going to be someone really famous.
Oh, I'll just have to imagine dragons.
Oh,
Boo.
gotcha.
Did I tell you that I heard Imagine Dragons on a classic rock station the other day?
What'd you think?
I didn't like it.
Yeah, they're bad.
I mean, not that I'm mad at Imagine Dragons. It was more just like, am I so old that Imagine Dragons is now classic rock? Whoa, that's what I look like.
Now that's a classic rock
That's
dragon.
a good dragon.
I don't know about the art direction for this game.
I love it. It's
don't-
fucking weird.
You can't just zoom in on that extremely blurry background. You just can't. Come on, guys. Oh, this is gonna suck.
No way, you're gonna love this.
This is gonna be the shittiest game I've ever played. Or it could be good.
It could be good.
Could be amazing.
Krungo, go look up Radioactive by Imagine Dragons and tell me what you think.
No. Don't tell anyone to listen to that song. That is anti-music. That's like if Ubisoft made music. Oh my god. You think the developers were like, can we get someone who can draw better?
Is that guy wearing socks with sandals? Sure is.
This fucking background art.
Yo, this sucks. This is some real watercolor texture in Photoshop.
Yeah, this is a Photoshop filter. What am I doing here? What is this game?
AI generated game? A little bit.
This is pretty good for AI generated. Kid has a letter F on his pants. This is unexplored territory. We're going into the really obscure side of the Sega Saturn, and this is what you get. I think we need glasses. Oh shit! It's the Blues Brothers.
They gave guns to the Blues Brothers.
What are you guys doing here?
I'd give Dan Aykroyd a gun, wouldn't you?
No,
Why not?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't trust Canadians with guns.
Oh, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, no. So who's this guy?
Yeah, he's the last guy I'd give a gun. What does he know? He's all like, you will buy my Crystal Head vodka. We're going one other place and then we're moving on. This is crotulent art, for sure. Oh man.
That's no good.
We're looking for a video game. Has anyone here seen a video game around here?
This is by the Jake Hunter series guy? What happened? He definitely improved. He got way better.
Hey, folks! We're at the circus, by the way.
Oh, okay. 100 bits from the Green Herring. Do we know where sailors hang out here? Apparently. Look at these two.
Very mysterious game. I
Yeah,
wish
I
I could...
was gonna say Dan Aykroyd said trans rights, so we have to give him a gun.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
He deserves it. I don't know what to make of this. I assume it's just...
Blow, kid, blow!
I just assume it's some kind of adventure game, but also... It's the worst art I've ever seen. This reminds me of the, you ever seen the Initial D manga? It's a little bit like that. I'm running around in circles. Like, we're back at the freaking
Yeah,
saxophone
I love
kid.
this kid. Yeah, where are the dragons?
Ryuteki Gosenen, a game that's very mysterious and strange. Let's move on to a much more understandable and normal game. June 13th, 1997. It's time to return to Welcome House.
Oh, god damn it.
If you were thinking, where have I seen these guys here before on the Retro Pals stream, you may be thinking of Welcome House, which we actually did play for a decent amount of time. We didn't end up finishing it. Alex, there's a tragedy about this game. There's a newly issued translation patch that was translated with AI.
I heard it was translated with AI.
If you're gonna do that, don't. I'd rather have nothing. Sorry, I'm just being real. This is Welcome House with Keaton and his uncle. You've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
April Fool. This is, well, if you don't remember it, you'll see in a second, but this intro is pretty good. Robots don't need to do our work. That's what they want us to do. Oh yeah, this is by Gust. The people who would later make a whole lot of Moe RPGs. You never seen this before? Oh, you're in for a treat
this
then.
is so good.
This is an amazing game. I keep wanting to play all the way through this, but I want an actual translation patch. Yeah, the Babelfish translations used to be jokes. We may have played this on PlayStation, come to think of it. Or maybe we played it on Saturn.
I forget which one we played it on.
Dr. Hauser for kids, that's a good way to describe it. Lang fan, dude. That's a throwback. So we're driving our fancy car to our uncle's house for April Fool's Day.
Did our car break down? Oh, our shit car.
This car sucks! It sucks! But our uncle has trapped us in his spooky mansion and locked all the windows and doors. He does look a little bit like Lupin, doesn't he?
A little bit. Wow.
And wouldn't you know it, it's a Resident Evil style mansion game.
It's a mansion game.
Except with no combat. You just go around like exploring. There's all these locked doors you need to unlock. The animation looks like this. This is an incredible game.
Use the toilet.
Okay. That's not how you use the toilet. Whoa.
Okay. That
Yeah.
sucks you can't use it.
I gotta say, out of all the Imagineer games we've seen today, this is one of the more fascinating ones to me. Just because it seems pretty intuitive. All you do is wander around until you find key items, and then you progress from there. It's not very complex, especially compared to other games like Dr. Hauser or Resident Evil even.
You should leave through the windows.
Okay.
Okay, never mind. I forgot there was a laugh track.
Oh yeah. Like their uncle wrote on the walls to welcome us.
Welcome, Keaton!
Please enjoy your tiny bed.
You got a key.
There's a key here. I guess this is kind of a comedy game? Sorta? Kinda?
It's a comedy game.
Yeah. It's ostensibly comedic. I remember this taking some pretty weird turns when we had our time with it. If you want to see us play more of this, look up Retro Pal's Welcome House on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work.
Boo.
We never did get to the end of this, but someday I hope to play all the way through this. Gotta figure out what happens to Keaton and his uncle. Oh!
God! The laugh track. That's so interesting. More games need laugh tracks.
I agree. Well, let's see what door this key opens and then we'll move on. They don't need to boo me. It's not like I would know which door the key opened.
Mm-mm. Hey!
Of course, it opens this door. What about this window? Well, I think you know what we need to do. Why am I doing
I
this?
saw someone in chat earlier say this is Stanley Ipkiss, and I agree.
Yeah, pretty much. This is a prologue to The Mask. Find out why he gets so Joker-fied. It's The Mask.
It's The Mask.
We found a book! And your adventure can continue too if you want to play Welcome House for Sega Saturn and PlayStation. There's also a Welcome House 2.
Ooh.
I hope someday to play that. It's good. It's a good game, folks. Oh, we only got a few more games left. Our time with Imagineer has been so short. June 13th, 1997. Taihyo no Arashi 2. Shippu no Modo. There's like 2 discs for this game, but like the second disc is a bonus disc or something. I remember that Ace Ventura game. What a good game that was.
No.
People kept coming in being like, this sucks. Am I crazy? This is the worst thing ever made.
That was pretty... I like when the games we play make people freak out like that.
People just coming in and being like, why are you all acting normal? This is horrible. We need video.
There we go.
Gam.
Okay.
Look at that Gam.
Good games on this game. Is this a war game?
Video games.
Danny, this is gonna be a war game with wars, and
This
it's
is
gonna
some
be hex
crusty.
based.
This is some crusty video.
This video is so public domain. Oh my god. This is some video you'd see in Muppet Babies.
It said Windows 95 on there.
Oh,
I think
God.
this is a computer
Are
game.
you excited, Danny?
It's so funny. Windows 95 was written in that so fancy script. It's crediting all the designers and shit. Oh yeah, this is a dad game. 100%
Total
dad game.
Yeah, I think the reason, aside from Ocean Gate, that I was looking up all those maritime disaster YouTubers is that once you hit a certain dad age, which I am approaching this year, then you have to, like, get into one dad thing, and mine's maritime disasters. Very interesting stuff.
You're gonna be a maritime disaster dad.
Listen, it's super interesting.
It's been a good month for you.
God, it has, hasn't it? Have you heard what James Cameron said he would have done to save everyone on the Titanic?
What would he have done?
He would have evacuated everybody onto the iceberg to wait there. Until the other ships could save them.
Now that's some galaxy brain thinking
I
right
love
there.
it! I love evacuating everyone onto the iceberg. Oh, Space Dumpster, don't worry. I've been watching a lot of videos about the world of Great Lakes shipping disasters. Danny, the Great Lakes are death traps.
Let's
They
start the game.
terrify me.
Let's start the game while Alex goes off on his Great
No,
Lakes,
I need to stop.
rant. Oh, this is so
Okay,
fucking
if you're
stretchy.
interested in maritime disasters, let me just do one shout out. There's a guy I really like, and you're gonna love his name, Danny. Big Old Boats. And guess what the channel is about?
Big old boats.
Yes. I do recommend Big Old Boats. It's pretty interesting. It's
Check out Big Old Boats.
Big Old Boats. I like
the channel
them.
and the concept.
Yeah.
Safe to say there were many strategy games released for the Sega Saturn. We didn't see many here in the States. Stuff like Iron Storm was one of them. What's the other one? Hair of Zindor or something?
Yeah, when I was saying that I found one channel that was good and one channel that sucked, the channel that was good was Big Old Boats.
Big old
I won't tell you
boats.
the other channel. You can find that yourself when you see some random guy.
I'm out.
Say that. Oh,
I'm out.
God, no.
I'm
no.
out.
Speaking of Big Old
You can't
Boats.
make me. You can't make me. We're about to hit the 2-hour mark. My brain is... I cannot process this. We're
No.
moving on.
Moving on.
If you want to play this, you can play it on your own time. That's too many points on a map. You're giving me too many options here. I don't want to part in a war. I want to be a Melty Lancer. Next game. August 8th, 1997. Tenga Seiha. I like that there's so many games here that have really ambiguous titles. You can't really tell what they're going to be until you start them up. And yet almost all of them are sound novels or strategy games. I don't think it's that Tenga. I think it's a different one.
Tenga.
And again, maybe they got their start on Sega Saturn like so many others did.
Mm-hmm. Gotta start somewhere. They're like, hey, the Saturn isn't working out for us. Then old pervert Joe says, I got an idea.
Pervert Joe.
More Ron! God damn it.
Oh, man. I've been Ron'd on again before I can even start playing Mahjong. Hey, we haven't seen any Mahjong since the launch lineup. I guess they decided it wasn't too profitable.
Maybe this will be more Mahjong.
A lot of competition in the space. Historical strategy game or Mahjong? You decide.
I'm assuming historical strategy game, because it's end of life, and yeah.
Is it both? It
I
could
can
be
see
both. Don't you hate when you go to the video game store and one of your kids wants a historical strategy game and the other kid wants a Mahjong game?
Odd.
Why not get something that makes them both happy? That's how you end your
Hell
F&B.
yes. We're
All right.
in.
Okay. What you got for me, Ron? Oh, this is the studio where after you pick start, it acts like the game crashes.
Oh yeah, we had this issue earlier.
That's a nice studio trademark.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Is my copy of Tenga Seiha broken?
I like the humongous text.
Don't show me an hourglass. I don't want to see an hourglass.
Oh no, this is gonna be...
You can keep your mouse pointer.
Is this gonna be Go?
You can keep your...
Shogi? A point-and-click adventure?
Could be. Alex.
Yes?
This is boring.
Danny, I think this is gonna be a board game. See, they've got the little thing set out and everything. Yeah?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, no, it's too boring. My brain. Leaking out my ears. It's gotten all melty. Oh, no, it's even more boring.
Do you like this?
I think these little people can live their own happy lives without my involvement. I think we should just leave them to their own business. Also on August 8th, 1997, Panic-chan. Melty brain. Thanks for trying.
I'm just craving
Ron.
melty cheese now. Just a lot of cheese. Make a super boring Mahjong game, except it's about Buc-ee's. I'm down. Oh, okay.
Imagineer struck the earth, killing us all?
Yeah, we're dead.
I didn't know that's what the logo implied. All right.
That's what you get for passing by Tenga Seiha.
Now we know a little bit more about Imagineer.
Alright, we got anime babes. Did they die?
They died at sea. Okay, all right. We have a bathtub scene. They don't do that, all right? They don't.
Like two rubber band balls bouncing.
Imagineer, I think you guys were onto something some of the time. Other times, I'm not so sure. It's a very flashy intro. Okay.
Okay. 100 bits from Green Herring for a Rolo.
Thank you for the 100 Rolos. Oh my god.
Oh my god, look at the title screen! Danny!
What kind of game is this?
What do you think? It's gonna be... boobs!
You can't just... That's not a genre, Alex. It might be
I've watched a lot of anime.
It might be a
and
boobs puzzler.
Is a genre.
It might be a boobs adventure game. It might be a boobs historical strategy game.
Fair
Wait,
enough.
we've played this before. I remember this kid. When have I played this? Oh, I own this game. This
You
was on
do!
this was on Sega Saturn Keep or Sell.
It was, I remember that.
I voted to sell it. Guess what? I haven't sold shit.
You need to sell.
Hey, these games are worth like $1 each. It's like, who
Okay.
cares?
Well, maybe if you said from the Retro Pal stash and you could,
Maybe if Alex autographed it.
yeah, be like, hey guys, got boobs here. Oh god, thank you so much for the raid, K Plays. Sorry to intro you with that. Welcome, we are just finishing up our look at games by Imagineer on Saturn. This is
Hey, thanks for the
Panic
raid.
Man.
What were you up to? We're playing some weird Sega Saturn games that nobody's ever heard of, all from a company called Imagineer. Right now we're on game 20 of 21, and I don't know what to make of their entire library. I don't know what to make of it. They just seem to be doing with whatever was popular badly, and that seems to be their whole MO.
I look like that.
That's awesome.
Alright, back to the kid. Hold on.
Playing Snatcher? Oh my god, that's a good game.
Nice.
Now that's a sound novel I enjoyed playing through. It was a novel and it had sound, so it's a sound novel. Damn, we gotta play Snatcher one of these days.
We do. Jaunty music.
Yeah, but nothing much is happening.
Hey, arms up.
His shirt just says H on it. Here
Yep.
come the H's.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily stand for hentai. It could stand for a lot of things.
Like hero.
Yeah.
Or hello. A
Or
friendly
hello.
hello.
It could
or
just
hi.
be. It could just be saying hello. Oh, this kid's boring. Oh, is that it? Can I progress from here? Oh, we're progressing.
Okay, good.
All right, kid, you get 3 more dialogue boxes, and if you don't say anything interesting, we're moving on to our last game. That's 1.
Okay.
That's 2. That's 3. You had your chance.
All right, we done?
That's too much talking, dude. When I play a game called Panic-chan, I expect to panic.
Yeah, that intro really, really hyped us up.
Next game, November 20th, 1997. Transport Tycoon. That's a genre I wasn't expecting to see him explore, but it does make sense given their past. If you're just joining us, this is a company that got famous by localizing old PC games. They started off with like SimCity and SimEarth, and they became the Japanese publisher of stuff like Lemmings. And then they hit consoles, and they didn't quite know what to do.
Oh. Not the prettiest logo, but, you know. Hey.
Oh, it's D. Chris Sawyer. Jordan, you're welcome to him. Make me an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a game that's probably better played on PC. But it is on Sega Saturn.
Oh, good. The PS1 version of this is bad, so this one should be too. I love it.
Who told the orchestra to hit several brown notes in a row?
What is this music?
Wah, 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 wah. Here's our town. We're gonna be transport tycoons.
Transporting tycoons.
You've discovered a blind spot in my video game experience. I don't know shit about these games. I played SimCity 2000. That's a good game. This looks a lot like it, actually, but as far as getting me to learn how to play these, I don't think you're going to get much... Oh, let's build some roads. There we go. Let's build a big fucking road to nowhere.
Nice.
Well, my job's done. Good first day as a transportation director. We built a couple of roads, and I think we can all go to sleep knowing that we had a really good day at work.
Oh yeah, there is a good version of the open source The Transport Tycoon. I've actually played a little bit of that. That's good.
That's it. That's 1997. And that is the penultimate release from Imagineer. We're heading off into 1998. Midway through the year, May 21st, 1998, they released their last game for the Saturn. It's Melty Lancer re-inforce. Their 3-disc magnum opus, sending themselves off with Melty Lancer. They're a popular series?
It kind of is.
Back on the Melty wagon. Get off the Melty wagon, it's gross.
Is it covered in cheese? Sorry, I just got cheese on... What?
I'm ADO.
You are.
Melty's back on the menu. At least 3 or 4 of these games had vocal songs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
The PS1 version of Transport Tycoon Save takes up 15 blocks.
That's a whole memory card.
Yeah, delightful.
That's me.
I do that. Sorry, I was hoping the little girl would like fly off or something because it was too like...
Big Pauldron's lady is back. You not like Pauldrons?
No, pauldrons are fine, I guess. Cool earrings.
Hey, you want to be a transport tycoon? You need to sacrifice a whole memory card to Satan. This animation looks great compared to some of the games we've seen. That one Seha game looked like ass. Yeah, let's hear it for Pauldron Girls.
I love pauldron girls doing karaoke.
Mm-hmm. They're just like us. Pauldron Girls.
I don't know if you raised cops in this one too.
Oh man, yeah, the first game was a cop racing sim, so special. Melty Lancer the animation.
Okay. This is on Tubi, by the way.
Is this a whole like OVA?
87. A new crisis was developing secretly, but for sure.
Don't develop a new crisis. We got plenty.
Menace.
Yeah, we're pretty good on Crisis.
The decision which mankind made is
またランサーに復帰しろですって何のために
You get all that?
You got it. It's the Melty Blood Police.
Melty Lancer.
Sorry.
Don't
Melty
mix
Blood-
up Melty Blood and Melty Lancer. You can't be making these mistakes.
No, I can't.
Tsukihime is going to be officially translated soon. Whoa!
I want to be like that.
She ribboned up the lion.
I want to fem up a lion. Hey, all you lions, I'll fem you up.
We doing a Tsukihime stream? Absolutely. Alex, I gotta teach you all about all the Tsukihimes.
Okay.
There's the wimpy kid who can see people's weak spots.
Okay.
There's Arcuade. There's Neko Arc, who's like
I know
Arcuade,
Neko Arc.
but she's small and a cat.
I know Neko Arc a lot.
There's a few other characters, but that basically covers it. Yeah, Tsukihime is technically an erotic visual novel, but yeah, it's not really... I wouldn't even say it's on the same level as Panic-chan. It makes sense that we're just watching this because D. Because we're not going to get much from the actual gameplay, probably. Whoa, cool dune buggy.
Nice gun.
New machines. New characters.
The game trying to sell me on it?
I guess so.
Episodes.
All new episodes! You think Shinji's going to get in the robot in this episode?
Angela, Sakuya, Nana, Jun, Melvina.
Velveeta?
I love Velveeta. That's melty.
Velveeta is melty.
It's famously melty.
All right, let's watch Melty Lancer, the animation.
Melvina, no. It's got to be Velveeta. I'm sorry. I'm making that canon
Yeah,
now.
it's Velveeta.
Yeah. Okay, so that what? Okay, let's melt this lance, baby.
All right, let's see the actual game and be disappointed. Here's 2088. And our job interview's going very well. We're just hanging out. Having a girls' night by the pool. You know how it is, being a
Yeah.
Melty Lancer.
All right, see us, Space Cowboys.
Period appropriate ref, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
If we're doing this, we should only reference anime from the 90s.
皆様まもなくどちら様も
Ah.
Uh-oh. Oh, great. The freaking Terminator's on our airplane.
That's no good.
He's hijacking us. We're Landy, and we're not liking the fact that we're getting hijacked by the Terminator.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
I just want to be a Melty Lancer. Oof, more flashing. Sorry about this. Did we win? Whoa! What the? What do I do? Oh, this isn't gonna be good.
Oh, he killed you.
He killed the shit out of me.
That's pretty good.
My strategy of walking back one space and stopping didn't work for some reason. Who's gonna save us?
It's the Melty Lancers.
Oh
baby.
man, Nana's here. She's that lady with the magic staff. And that's Sylvie.
Hey, Sylvie.
That's Angela.
Pauldron's babe.
Sakuya. She's also in Toho.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Well, there's a whole bunch of girls here. And they're here to help us. A lot of Sega Saturn games had this premise of just an ensemble cast of weird girls.
There were a lot of girl games like that on Saturn.
I'm thinking specifically of Sakura Wars, which this seems to be kind of similar to, given that it's a strategy game in addition to adventure. Oh, we finally get to see the Melty Lancers in action. This is why everyone loves them so much.
We can't throw the cat girl out of the plane, even though she'd land on her feet.
All right, there's also a galaxy following Yuna. True, true. So I guess that's what we can take away about Imagineer. They tried to glom on to whatever was popular at the time, trying first with fighting games and Mahjong games, then going into sound novels, and games about girls that are also strategy RPGs some of the time. That seems to be a popular theme that they tried to go after. Overall, I guess there's not much to offer for us Western Sega Saturn fans. You kind of need a good grasp of the language to understand a good half of these games. That and half of them are like fucking historical strategy games, so who cares? It's easy to say who cares now, but back then that was a popular genre. That's why they made their money there. But what would you say about Imagineer, Alex?
I would say they made a lot of anime games and a lot of mid-tier crap.
They're incredibly mid, yeah. They did have the introduction of the Shutoko Battle series, that racing series we saw.
Yeah, but that was Genki.
And they also published weird stuff like 3D Lemmings.
Yeah.
So they had their place in video game history, but do they matter much in terms of the modern day? I would say probably not.
Nah.
Imagineer, very skippable. But I'm glad we made this research. I'm glad we took the time to see what their entire Sega Saturn library was like. And now we know.
And now we know.
And now we know.
We know.
That's it. We're done. We're done with Imagineer, aka Imagineering. You didn't make that mistake nearly as often as I thought
I know.
you would.
I did so good.
You did good,
I
Alex.
deserve a prize.
You deserve a prize for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching. Special thanks to our patrons for voting to see Imagineer instead of Imagineering. If a couple of people had voted differently, we might have played a bunch of New Jersey games for the last 2 hours.
Thank God.
Would that have been better or worse than what we saw? We may never know because the vote swung that way and we have to stick with it. Thanks everybody for voting.
Thank you.
If you want to vote for what we play most every Wednesday, head to patreon.com/retropals. If you're at the $5 tier, you get to answer these polls that we put up every so often. Though the next couple weeks we're not going to see many polls. I'm going on vacation.
Yep.
I'm going to be in an undisclosed location somewhere in the American Midwest. I do intend to stream, so maybe we'll see something, but as far as polls are concerned, we're going to take a little break from that.
If you're going to the Midwest, be careful of holes in the woods.
Holes in the woods?
I read a lot about mysterious holes in the Midwest, so be careful.
Okay,
We're also at YouTube.
I'll be looking out for holes.
Okay,
Alex, take it away.
Me. I'm also at YouTube. We're also at youtube.com/retropals, where we post full-length highlights of our streams there. Latest one is a look at Bally pinball games. So if you want to see Baby Pac-Man, you want to see, God, I think Addams Family's there, right?
Yeah.
Thank God I remember that right. Yeah, do check it out. It's a good one. They even have a Space Invaders game, so do check out that pinball stream. We also have a Discord if you'd like to keep up with when we stream and
yes, please join our Discord for when Twitter is about to collapse.
Yeah, no, our Discord.
If you want to follow us somewhere on the internet, our Discord is around for the time being. So,
we're eventually going to make a co-host and stuff, but for now, check out our Discord. That's where we're going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that is pure polygonal art you see on the screen right now.
Perfect.
It's so perfect. I love Fist. You know what else I love? Weird MSX games. Why don't we join Bad Game Hall of Fame? Cass and Guest are playing an MSX game based on the mid-'80s horror comedy movie House. Not Japanese House, American House.
Oh, God.
The American movie called House was adapted to the MSX, and then a pseudo-sequel was made for the NES. That pseudo-sequel, Dr. Chaos. So this is a really weird story that Cass is telling here, and I want to see what that's all about. Enjoy that. Have a good rest of your evening. We'll see you later. Thanks for watching.
See ya, folks.